came up within me about the idea of virtues and what these virtues are and how they would benefit me. What is a virtue? That was what I asked. And so I started to really research the idea of what a virtue is. And one of the places I looked was online, and I found an encyclopedia, the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy. Now, this is their definition of a virtue. A virtue is an excellent trait or character. It is a disposition well entrenched in its possessor, something that, as we say, goes all the way down. Unlike a habit, such as being a tea drinker. To notice, expect, value, feel, desire, choose, act in certain characteristic ways. That's what the Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy says. Okay, so let's go over a couple common beliefs. I was talking to my wife, and we figured out that these are some common beliefs that I think we can agree on. Common belief is that virtues like honesty, courtesy, happiness, joy, forgiveness, kindness, all these virtues benefit mankind and make our stay here on earth just a little more lovely. Another common belief is that virtues are only relevant to how we treat each other, and this is very misunderstood. And this was one of my main misunderstandings, is that I believe that a virtue is how I treated someone else. And when I started to realize that I was very impatient with myself, and I started changing the way I treated myself, that I treated everyone else better. So I was like, So even though it's a social, virtues seem to be in the social side of our structure, it's actually an internal structure that changes within each of us. And by adapting and developing these internal virtues, we actually treat people much kinder. It's completely a different outlook from what I personally was experiencing. So what is a portal? What is a virtue, and how does it work? A portal is a door or an opening or passageway that leads us to the divine virtues or to our innermost self. So through the practice of these embodiments, like, say, bravery, love, nobility, sincerity, curiosity, one creates portals and doorways to the kingdom of one's own true self that stands within them. The space is heart space people talk about. This internal ocean. A virtue, as a portal, changes acting like an animal to making conscious choices. It also evolves us out of the animal into a spiritual condition. It transports us. It allows us to take on the next stage of our existence. It is a path to the kingdom that exists within us. So how do we do this? Well, first we have to set an intent, or we have to have a desire to attain this virtue. Once we start to attain, we have this desire, we can attain this virtue, we research it, we start to understand it, we start to act it out in the world. The more we understand something, the better that we can perceive it and start to embody this, lay a foundation for it, and brick by brick we can construct it, and then we must work ceasingly to maintain it. Good thing for us, over the past 6,000 years, there's been teachers that have come that have embodied these divine virtues and modeled them for us so that we, as a human race, can know ourselves better and know God better. And it's through these divine virtues that allows us to do that. So with each step towards these virtues and embodying the virtues, we come one step closer to our true nature, our true self. So a nice definition I found online was that virtue is the ability and inclination to act beautifully and to make good choices. So when we start embodying these virtues, the way they look in the world is is that when we all start to embody kindness, generosity, felicity, wars will cease. Fear will disappear, and justice and love will be the guiding force, and mankind will truly have started its first step on the path of unity. And we can say that mankind's history has begun. So this idea that I am no one, I am a voice speaking forth for those whose voices have been inadvertently oppressed by dogmas, traditions, social norms, social pressures. You whose voice has been quieted by louder voices and evil whisperings, I pray and hope. I say what you couldn't and represent you the best I can. By the grace of God, God has given some the gift of speech, and those who have it shall use it, and those whose gifts lie elsewhere. May, by God's bounty, I will have the strength to speak out for the oppressed when given the chance, and that which is in me shall never die. So, Auf Wiedersehen, adios, hasta luego, peace out. We'll be talking about virtues next and how they look in the world and how they affect mankind's progression towards their true divine spirit.